Welcome to Struggle TV. Today I will speak about the recent warlike situation. I won't call it war between India and Pakistan. And I will argue three things. First, I will argue that this warlike situation emerges every 7 to 8 years between the two countries. However, this time the pattern was rather different from what is going on since the 1980s. Secondly, I would argue that both ruling regimes in India and Pakistan, they have politically benefited from this warlike situation. And lastly, I will speak very briefly about the left, the mainstream left in India, which supported the war effort and lent full support to the Modi regime, while in Pakistan, the left is marginal, but still sections of the left lent support to Pakistan military. So first, let's talk about the warlike situation and how it was different from the pattern that was there since the 1980s. I have spoken about it in a previous program as well. I will be briefly repeating myself. Well, what I pointed out previously, and I want to point out yet again today, is the fact that since the 1980s, the pattern of skirmishes between India and Pakistan was that they would engage each other in Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir, as perhaps everyone knows all over the world, is apparently a disputed territory between India and Pakistan. Hence, when they engage each other in Jammu and Kashmir, both the states or the ruling classes, they have two benefits. They are not going to sort of an international war. They do not breach each other's border. Secondly, the people killed, the civilians killed on both sides, they happen to be citizens of Jammu and Kashmir. And let me also point out, this is not a disputed territory between India and Pakistan. The people of Jammu and Kashmir have the right to self-determination. It's a complicated history. I won't go in detail here. I have myself roots in Jammu and Kashmir, and I am what we call state subject or a citizen of Jammu and Kashmir. And whenever we are allowed or we are given the right to self-determination, at least I will be voting for an independent Jammu and Kashmir. And I stand for a secular socialist Jammu and Kashmir. Well, coming back to India and Pakistan, they have fought at least two major wars, 1965 and 1971. Even 1965 was not that big major war. It didn't really go beyond some sort of border clashes, not the kind of image of war we have related to Gaza or Ukraine presently and many, brutal wars that have been fought over in different parts of the world. However, 1971 was a major war which also, led to a genocide in East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. And, there was an entire big surrender by Pakistan military in East Pakistan. 90,000 Pakistani soldiers and civilians, they were taken as prisoners of war by India. They spent few years in prisons there, and India to this day celebrates it as a major victory, while Pakistan or its ruling class keeps suffering from this 1971 syndrome. However, ever since 1971, they have not been engaging each other on international borders or in direct sort of fights. As I said, they would engage each other in Jammu and Kashmir. For the first time, this May, India started a sort of warlike tension on the border between India and Pakistan. Again, they didn't send any troops. What Modi regime did, they had a strategy of firing missiles and sending drones. This was scary. This could escalate. But as we see, the situation didn't go and did not really escalate into a full-scale war, mercifully. However, a bad precedent has been set, and if this Modi regime continues in power there and the kind of regime Pakistan has, the situation will be very dangerous in future, possibly. And also, I want to say that there have been, couple of major wars between two countries or warlike situations, which cost few hundred lives. In 1999, for instance, there was this Kargil conflict. There is an ongoing conflict since 1984 at Siachen Glacier. Initially, in the 1980s, the casualties were pretty high on both sides, not because of the warlike situation, but mostly because of the unbearable weather conditions there. I mean, it's inhuman to be on a glacier for years and years. And both sides have lost many soldiers on both sides. And I think this warlike situation over glacier should also come to an end, also for climatic reasons. Now, I will speak briefly about the two regimes on both sides. I'm using the term regime even for Modi because I don't think it's a democratic government. It's a majoritarian government. Modi was really isolated, marginalized for the first time in, say, 10, 15 years. One, he introduced yet another anti-Muslim law in the name of Waqf, the Islamic properties, which was targeting Muslims. His main stay in politics has been Islamophobia. And at the same time, when Trump came to power, new tariffs were imposed on India as well. And Modi, for past about 10 years, 9 years, has been propagating that Trump is his friend. He has been shamefacedly supporting Trump, one way or the other. Well, on the question of Waqf, the Indian opposition was bitterly opposing the BJP new legislation. At the same time, for the first time almost, the Supreme Court there, it revolted against the Modi regime. Likewise, the opposition and many ordinary people, ordinary citizens, many TV bloggers, because mainstream media is totally in Modi's pocket, they call it Godi media, which means sort of lapdog media. Anyway, many people were pointing out that India should also slap tit for tat tariff on the US goods, US imports. Modi was silent. Modi and his Hindu fundamentalist Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, is always, able to create some narrative, create some discourse to push the opposition to a corner. They largely have been very good at whipping up some support for themselves through some sort of Islamophobia, some sort of ultra-nationalism, so on and so forth. But this time, they were not able to answer the criticism. Hence, this Pahalgam terror incident, which led to the apparent warlike situation between India and Pakistan, it really gave Modi a chance to the point that even the two mainstream communist parties, which have mass bases in some parts of India, Communist Party of India and Communist Party of India, Marxist, CPM, as it is usually referred to, even they lined up behind Modi. What I know from some contacts, some friends and comrades there, they were reporting that there is a sort of madness for war. There is support for war and Modi. Likewise in Pakistan, the government we have here, usually it is referred to as a hybrid regime. It's a government which allegedly was rigged into power. It consists of two mainstream parties, one Pakistan People's Party, party of Bhuttos, and the current president of Pakistan, Asif al-Zardari, is widow of Benazir Bhutto, while prime minister comes from another dynasty, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. The two brothers, Nawaz Sharif and Shehbaz Sharif, have been, in prime minister office first the elder brother three times, now the second brother, younger brother, Shehbaz Sharif, for second time. And they have the full support of military, which actually wields the actual political and economic power in Pakistan. Since they had rigged the elections, secondly, they have been introducing IMF dictated policies, which really made life hell for the working class people. They have been very unpopular. They have been very unpopular since the vote of no confidence against the previous Prime Minister Imran Khan, who was, equally catastrophic for the working class, more neoliberal than the Sharif family and Bhutto family or their respective parties. But also, he was getting unpopular by the end of his government when he was overthrown through a vote of no confidence. However, once he was voted out of power, he was able to regain his popularity. I have spoken about it previously. I don't have time to go into these details, how it all happened. One twist he gave to his vote of no confidence was anti-imperialism or anti-Americanism. He popularized the myth that Washington engineered the vote of no confidence against him. Unfortunately, this lie was bought even by some sections of the international left. Anyway, coming back to the point that even here, ever since this ceasefire, the Pakistani state, the present regime, is celebrating the war victory. The military soldiers, some of them, some pilots have been turned into national heroes. The present chief of army staff, he has been promoted to the rank of, it's a more honorary rank, field marshal. Second time in the history of Pakistan, we will have a field marshal. Media, social media, influencers of different kind, YouTube and whatnot. The previous sections of liberal opinion, which used to criticize the present regime, the military for its intervention and interference in politics and economy, even they are, unanimously supporting military and the present regime. And the most unfortunate support came from sections of the left, which is my third point today. While the left in Pakistan is rather marginal, it does not have mass basis in any part of the country. However, even there, some sections of the left, they lent unapologetic support to Pakistan military. Some of their so-called leaders who have some presence on social media, and they behave more like a cult rather than, real grassroots activists. They were praising Pakistan military. They were using two kind of pretexts to lend support to Pakistan military. One, Modi is a fascist, or BJP is a fascist regime, and they have the support of Israel. Hence, Pakistan military is fighting fascism, Zionism at the same time. Secondly, they presented India, Modi and BJP as a stooge of the US imperialism, while Pakistan as a supporter of China, which is socialist, which is subaltern, which is pro-working class, or, communistic or whatever. I will have another program. I will analyze it in more detail, but let me finish this by noting the following point. This is so unfortunate that oftentimes when there is a warlike situation, there is rebirth of degenerated Second International, which betrayed the working classes all over the world at the start of the First World War. So even in India and Pakistan, we could see the left reenacted Second International. I will say goodbye now. Hope we'll meet again for the next episode. Have a very lovely day or evening wherever you happen to be. Bye.